Hello adventurers, welcome to the Four Empires trading card game, a strategic fantasy trading card game based in the world of Zaia. Today, I'm going to teach you how to play. We're going to be going over what certain types of cards do, how turns work, where to place your cards, and the tactics that'll help you win games. To start, let's talk about the goal of the game. Whether you're playing with 2 players or with 8, the goal is simple. Reduce all your opponent's hit points, HP, from 50 to 0. Now, it's important to keep in mind that you can only damage an opponent's hit points if you attack them directly. The last player or team with remaining hit points after all their opponents have been eliminated wins the game. In the Four Empires trading card game, there are 5 main classifications of cards. My friends McKenzie and Joseph are going to help me explain exactly what those are.
First are character cards, your main attackers and defenders. Each of these cards have their own defense and attack stat that will be used to determine who wins battles. You can only play character cards on your turn unless a card's effect says otherwise. On your turn, you can play up to 2 character cards with card effects not counting towards those 2, thus allowing you to play more. Unless stated otherwise by a card's effect, a character card that has just been brought to the field has summoning fatigue and cannot attack on their first turn on the field. Below a card's name, you can find a card's type. With character cards, their type contains keywords that may be important for card effects. Character cards have a few main types: Warrior, Scout, Champion, Paragon, Beast, and Entity. Each type has its own specific characteristics and potential limits as listed in the deck construction section of the rules. An example for effects that are dependent on character card types is Jayton Bronzeclaw. He gains +4 to his attack and defense for every other champion on his side of the field. So, if Fira Solfang and Teofero are on his side of the field, he'd gain a +8 to attack and defense. Character card types also generally include descriptive words that may be relevant to card effects, such as Crimson Wolf listed in Luna Blackmire's card type. If she is on the same side of the field as other character cards with Crimson Wolf in their card type, she gains a boost to her attack. There are a few variants of this, but if you're ever unsure, check the card type.
The next type of cards are magic item cards. These are equipment that attach to character cards. Character cards can equip 1 magic item per turn, limited by their equipment slots. These can be found in the top left corner of their effect box. Humanoids typically have equipment slots for their head, back, neck, ring, main hand, and offhand, while some creature types like beasts, oceanic creatures, and entities have no slots. You can tell what slot a magic item fills by looking at the top left-hand corner of its art frame. On the top right-hand corner of some magic item cards, you can find the material that the item is made with. This can also be found in the top left corner of its effect box. This is important because some cards synergize with others, like Kalten, who gets stronger for every Thorax magic item on the field. Magic items can be extremely powerful, but may also have some drawbacks, so make sure you play them with care, because once a character card equips a magic item, it can't unequip it without a card's effect. A bonus for using magic item cards is that generally, the character that has them equipped can use their effect even if that character has summoning fatigue. This is the case unless the effect says that the character needs to give up an attack to use it. Magic items can only be placed on their owner's turn, and usually can only be used on that owner's turn. However, some magic items mention that they can be used as reactions. A reaction happens directly after a specified event mentioned in that card's effect. If the card is a face-down card and is revealed as a reaction, that card's effect is activated immediately. Speaking of face-down cards, some magic items that specify it in their effect can be placed face down on the character card they're equipped to. They can then be revealed as a reaction to an opponent's move. These are mostly magic items that act as modifiers after they've been revealed, however, they can also act as traps. Face-down cards can also be revealed on their owner's turn, not as a reaction. Instant cards are pretty straightforward. These are one-time use cards that you don't need any character card on the field to be able to play. Unlike any other card,
you may place an instant card onto the field either on yours or any other player's turn. So, once you place it down, the effect is immediately triggered.
Next up are obstruction cards. These are defensive cards that must be destroyed before its player or its player's character cards can even be attacked. These cards will keep you safe, though some could do so at a price. Shielding Light, for example, will not let its player attack any of its enemies, as well as preventing enemies from attacking them until it's destroyed, of course. Luckily, players can attack their own cards and break free. However, it is something to keep in mind before placing down. Another thing to keep in mind, you may only play one obstruction or one siege weapon per turn, with a cap of only 3 on your field at any time.
Siege weapon cards are offensive cards used by characters to affect an opponent in some way. For example, the Ballista can consume 2 characters' attacks in order to attack over the battlefield over obstructions to hit an opponent's HP or character card directly. As I mentioned before, attacking with siege weapons may require you to withhold attacks from a certain number of character cards with main hand equipment slots, meaning characters with summoning fatigue cannot use siege weapons. And remember, you can only play one obstruction or siege weapon on your turn with a max of 3 cards on your defensive line, so choose wisely.
Now that you know the main classifications of cards, let's go over where you place them on the field. Your side of the field has 2 main rows. First is the defensive line. The defensive line can hold up to 3 obstruction or siege weapon cards. Then behind that is the battlefront, where you can place up to 5 character cards and all the magic items that are attached to them. By the way, magic item cards have been designed so that you can slide them underneath the character card they're equipped to, while still showing off exactly what they do. To the side of your field, you keep your deck, with your graveyard face up in front of it. If you use a summoning deck, that can be placed beside it. While some people may choose to have a different layout, this is what we suggest to help keep the game clean and clear. On to arguably the most important part of the video, building a good deck. In the Four Empires trading card game, a deck must be between 50 and 70 cards, with a max of 3 copies of a card with the same identity. A deck also must not exceed 1 entity, 3 paragons, 6 scouts, or 12 champions. Some cards are so powerful that they've been limited to 1 copy per deck. You can find the full list of restricted cards over on our rule page on our website, which will be linked in the description below. Summoning deck cards are separate from your standard deck, and thus they don't count towards your 50 to 70 card deck limit. They're also the only exception to the 3 duplicates rule, allowing you to have as many of that card as you'd like. If deck construction isn't something that excites you, that's okay. Feel free to pick up one of our starter decks from the Four Empires store. These decks have been designed to be able to be played right out of the box, but also serve as a great start for creating a custom deck of your own.
Now that you have your 50 to 70 card deck, you're ready to play. Each player starts with 50 hit points and a goal to bring their opponent to 0. To begin, shuffle your deck, draw 5 cards to start, then your 6th and 7th on your first turn. From then on, you'll draw 2 cards on your turn every round. You can decide who goes first by a coin flip, a dice roll, or mutual agreement. In a game with only 2 players, the player that goes first has a slight restriction on their first turn. They can play no obstruction cards and only 1 character card. However, after their first turn, they go back to playing normally. In a game with more than 2 players, this restriction does not exist.
Unlike other games, Four Empires doesn't require you to do things in any specific order or in phases. Every turn, in whatever order you want, you can draw 2 cards, place 2 character cards, place 1 defensive line card, equip each character card on your field with 1 magic item per turn as long as they have the matching equipment slot, and attack with your character cards as long as they don't have summoning fatigue.
Now let's break down the basics as far as combat is concerned. When you declare an attack, the attacker chooses which card is attacking and which card is defending. From there, you compare the attacker's attack, ATK, with the defender's defense, DEF, to decide which card is destroyed and sent to the owner's graveyard. If it's 2 character cards fighting and the number is equal, both characters are destroyed. However, if one of them is an obstruction and the number is equal, then the obstruction is destroyed and the character card is not. Character cards take all the magic items that are equipped to them with them to the graveyard once they're destroyed. You can also attack with multiple character cards at the same time in a multi-attack. When you do this, you combine the attack stat of all the character cards that are attacking with the defense stat of the character card or obstruction that is defending. And remember, players don't lose any HP when their character card is destroyed, only through direct attacks. And players can only be attacked directly when they have no character cards and no obstructions on their side of the field. At that point, you can attack them directly, reduce their HP down to 0, and win the game. After attacking, a character card becomes exhausted and can't attack until its next turn. Certain magic items mention in their effect that their effect can only be used by a character card if they do so instead of attacking. So, that means if the character card is exhausted or has summoning fatigue, they cannot use that card's effect until their next turn. Certain cards have an effect where they banish other cards that they help destroy. So, that means that any card that is destroyed by that card and any card that is equipped to the destroyed card is not sent to the graveyard, but is removed from play for the rest of the game.
Let's say you're falling behind. Maybe it's time to blitz. If you have no character cards and your opponent has at least 3, you may blitz on your turn. To do this, pay 10 HP, and any character you play this turn ignores summoning fatigue, meaning you can attack immediately. You cannot blitz on your first turn, and any cards entering play via card effects may still have summoning fatigue. However, in a pinch, a good blitz could save your match.
In the Four Empires TCG, mulligans are familiar, but work slightly differently than other games. Players get a free mulligan they can use on their first turn, and they get an additional one they can use at any point during the game at the cost of 1 card. To mulligan, the player returns their cards to the deck, reshuffles, and if it's not their free mulligan, they draw back 1 less card than they started with. Please note, you can't mulligan and blitz on the same turn.
Well, those are pretty much all the basics for the Four Empires trading card game. Draw 2, build up your lines, equip magic items to empower your fighters, win combats through smart attack versus defense matchups, blitz when the moment is right, and strike directly when the path is clear. Bring all your opponents from 50 HP down to 0, and your empire will claim victory. Now, you can check out all of the rules and updates over at fourempires.com/TCG-rules, and claim your starter deck today over at fourempires.com/store. If you want to stay up to date on our events, new releases, videos, or if you just want to hang out with other people who enjoy playing the game, join our Discord, which is linked in the description below. Choose your empire, and I'll see you on the battlefield. And remember, with so many ways to play, fight for your empire your way.